curly hair, you have to have poof sometimes.
You do.
Jennifer Walters should have poof.
I know. Instead, she gets the
Mousy
the
brown
She-Hulk.
curls.
But she also has like the She-Hulk.
It is kind of cute though. The curls.
Yeah,
I like her curls.
But the part that I don't like is the nothing lines up.
They don't do anything with it.
But what I mean is, like, She-Hulk should technically not have it. Why does She-Hulk have a diametrically different hairstyle?
That was my complaint first episode.
Really?
Do you remember? Yeah, we'll have to go back and see. But like, she's got this long, straight hair. Remember,
Yeah.
we were complaining about the CGI. I go,
Right.
why isn't her hair curly? Because Jennifer Walters has a curly hair.
Yeah. She's a curly hair?
She's a curly girl. It's a real thing.
What's up, my know-it-alls? Welcome to the She-Hulk review for this brand new episode of She-Hulk, episode 6. Episode 5 or 6? Episode 6.
Six.
Which is literally called Just Jen.
Just Jen.
Fresh out the gate, Jen Walters has to deal with being invited to be the bridesmaid at a good friend of hers wedding and all of the various hijinks that ensue, especially when there's an unexpected guest. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about this episode and really get down into it, but I feel like there are several bigger issues that I'm like, I need to dive into. I have to dive into.
Ooh, I don't know who was more upset during this. You weren't upset.
No,
I wasn't upset either.
It's not that I'm upset. I'm just... I try my best not to do anything that sounds like politicky or current issues. I'm going to say for the record, I consider myself to be kind of an alpha feminist, meaning in the early stages of the movement. I don't think we have to belittle anyone to raise everybody up. I think everyone should be equal and there should be equality and fairness.
Yes.
But now, the place where I always get hung up is how does your definition of feminism, let's just say, I'm using you as an example.
Okay.
Why does your definition become the definition? So, for instance, if a different woman wants to all the stereotypes, wants to be a housewife, wants to whatever, wants to be barefoot and pregnant or the cliches, you know what I mean? What if that is her desire to want to be that thing, then I think we should accept that. Now, all that having been said, there's an awful lot of fans out there who currently are expressing, and these are women fans, and I'm going to start with one here, who are not overall happy with the direction the show's going in. Why? Because while we are definitely I have come to accept the show for what it is and it's on its face. Does that mean I'm going to enjoy it anymore? No, I'm just not going to complain because I get it.
I'll complain though.
This is it's trying to be a legal comedy, though it's not really doing much legaling. Other than some basic stuff that, frankly, any first-year writer could come up with in terms of a scene for lawyers. You're not digging into anything legal or any of that stuff. Anyway, that being said, what you're left with is a show that's very much about the character of Jen Walters. Now, my idiosyncrasies with the episode or with the show in general are not the same as hers. But I will say that I do feel like there's a segment of the fan base of women who just want a superhero show and are constantly going, what is this drivel?
Where is my woman superhero? We had not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel,
which was great, but
but it's agreed on both sides that Marvel movies are always going to do well. The acceptance by the fans on both sides of any kind is meteoric at best.
Yeah. I agree. No.
She's not overly impressive. I love Brie Larson, but she has the personality of like a cardboard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Us as women, we have Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And
now you have Ms. Marvel, and even that's.
But I mean, I don't. Again, we're going to talk about painting it with one stroke, and I shouldn't do that because we also have Black Widow. We also have.
I love Black Widow.
Yeah, we also have.
I liked that movie. I thought the movie was well. I thought it was late.
Yeah.
But go on.
But no, we do have women superheroes. It's just I feel like this was made up to be this great, powerful woman superhero, and it's falling very flat.
Right on. Okay. So we will get into all that in just a little bit, but let's actually get into the actual show itself. So the episode starts very simply with Jen getting an invitation to be a bridesmaid. I didn't know this was a thing. Did you?
I did. Whenever I've been a bridesmaid or maid of honor, it's always been a to-do.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
So, and I hadn't been aware that was a thing.
I didn't do it with our wedding.
No, of course not. But so she gets an invitation, and so she's like, "This is gonna be great." And she gets an outfit from her boy, and she goes, and she shows up, and I loved every bit of this moment. She's very strong. She walks up. Everyone's like, "Oh my
Confident.
goodness, it's She-Hulk, this and that." And she looks good in the outfit that she's got from this guy. So because she turns back into Jen, and as Jen or She-Hulk, the outfit works, and that makes me very happy to start seeing more of that idea. And so and it's funny, she has this one part later on in the episode where she's like, all I wanted to do was show up at a wedding and be able to be awesome and amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, right on, man. So she gets there, and then the bride literally tells her, what are you doing? You're going to take away the attention from me. No being hulky while at my wedding. So she's like, all right, fine. And she becomes Jen again. And as Jen, she becomes the whipping post for everyone.
Oh my word,
It's almost
uncomfortable.
Grating, super uncomfortable. Now, I'm more than happy as a writer and someone who's worked in television to say that was probably the writer's intent. That's awesome. At the same time, I didn't feel like at some point we have to stop treating Jen like the odd woman out. Mm-hmm. I get that you want to make that personal journey and you want to find that place. And again, I understand personal growth and character development, but at the same time, the one thing that I did like a lot about the comic book character was Jen almost from the beginning, and I don't mean the very, very beginning, because in the very, very beginning, she was wearing ripped clothes and was essentially like the Hulk a little bit. But I'm talking about once you got into the modernized version after John Byrne and a lot of others, what you get is this Jen who's okay being either. And she was always okay being Jen Walters. She was always okay. So this, I feel like they're pushing the woe is her, poor Jen Walters.
Poor victim.
Right, a little too hard. At least for me. I'm like, guys, I don't know. The other thing is, real quick, I'm a little, and we're going to get back into the recap, I'm a little ticked. They sold everyone in life. If you go to IMDb right now, this episode has a big, bold, fat picture of Daredevil. And it's all the stuff from that promo teaser, and people are trying to act like, this is the episode, we're going to see Daredevil. Daredevil wasn't anywhere in this episode. Okay, Charlie Cox was not in the episode. And so that was completely, and in fact,
that was a bummer.
Yeah, she pointed that out. She was like, I was totally expecting Charlie Cox. And I, to some extent, I was too. All right. So then we get into the B plot. And the B plot is that while Jen is off, her cases are being covered by Mallory. So Mallory and Nikki have to handle a case for the case of Mr. Immortal. Mr. Immortal is the actor who plays Mr. Immortal is David Pescisi. He's the same guy who, if you remember back at Book of Boba Fett, he was the mayor's major domo, his sycophant, the guy with the Twi'lek who was always being super polite and whatnot. That's the same actor. So I loved being able to see him not in makeup, other than just being kind of himself. And so they're in the middle of this thing, and at one point he's trying to we find out he doesn't like confrontation. Nikki and Mallory are kind of going off on him a little bit. He gets up, runs out, and
right out the window,
jumps out the window. And then he's on YouTube getting up,
stretching,
kind of dusting himself off, whatever. Come to find out, this guy likes to get married.
It's a good B plot. It really is. This would have been fun to watch. The B plot would have been fun to watch.
So I feel like the B plot is about as close as we're going to get to an actual legal comedy. In the vein of The Practice, Boston Legal, anything. Where it's like, it's supposed to be a ridiculous premise. My problem is, every show like that has done a legal thing, Ally McBeal, The Practice, Boston Legal, any of those shows, you have this goofy, crazy B plot. And then you have somewhat of a normal, even keel story, because you got to kind of balance the things. We don't get that. What you get is Jen Walters' wedding hijinks, and now you also have Mr. Immortal, legal court case hijinks. By the way, no legal court case happens. What you get is a conference meeting between you get to see the fascinating world of legal mediation.
With Nikki.
Why? Why is this the fascinating world? Mind you, go ahead, tell Nikki. Nikki's great.
Nick, see, I'd like to see more of Nikki. Yeah. Nikki and Jen had, doing stuff in a courtroom together, because Nikki's smart. She is so smart, and the way she played this entire, Mallory was even impressed with the way she handled Mr.
Immortal, Mr. Immortal,
and
I love it.
His 4 wives.
No, it was like 8. It was like, hold on, ex-wife 1, 2, 3, ex-wife 1 through 4. Then there was ex-husband 1. So they had 5 total people.
5 people.
Dude, Mr. Immortal was busy.
He was.
Anyways,
I mean,
but
if you're immortal, how many times are you gonna get married?
Yeah, totally. So So then we flash back to the wedding, and during the wedding stuff, Jen meets this really nice guy. His name's Josh. Josh seems really well. I guess he's also one of the groomsmen, and so they get a chance to kind of talk. And this is where you start seeing the abuse of Jen, because amidst her trying to flirt with this guy, and I think she's so exhausted from everything in life that she doesn't really notice at first he's flirting with her, and then she kind of starts to get the idea.
Yeah.
But you find out she's, hey, can you help us straighten up? The help's getting angry. The men all got stuff on their shirts, and they didn't get a chance to iron them.
They need to be ironed.
And so like they're just dumping on poor Jen. And meanwhile,
she's definitely abused.
Come to find out, Titania is at the wedding. Mm-hmm. So, convenient plot angry villain person is convenient in that. So apparently she's dating one of the groom or bride's cousins or something.
Yeah, the groom's cousin.
In order to come to the wedding. It's totally there to mess with She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany's Jen Walters, and so there's a scene that's briefly caused, but at the end of the day, you get a. This was both an enlightening scene and a frustrating scene, because you get to understand what Titania's motivations are. She punches Jen, and she basically back in my day we said she stole her. She just, when she wasn't looking, punched her. Boom, knocks her out. So Jen gets up and she's like, no, I promise I'm not going to get into a fight, this whole thing.
I promised her.
And she's yelling at her. She's like, you're going to get up. You're going to turn green because you don't even like this stuff and blah, 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 this and that. So you find out she's jealous. She went from being the strong influencer, superpowered influencer who's in the spotlight, to suddenly being second fiddle to She-Hulk, who doesn't even want it.
Right.
So that's her point of frustration, and we finally get to understand her motivation in that regard. So it's eye-opening there. The whole premise is ridiculous in that when Jen finally turns into She-Hulk, they have maybe a 2-scene exchange, and it's literally she punches her once in the face and then kicks her into the bigger room, and that's where Titania gets up, and you think you're going to get a big epic fight.
She wusses out.
She trips and falls on her face. I'm assuming because she's super strong, she tripped and fell super strongly. Hard. So then she gets up. She's apparently broken her veneers. She got her eyelashes falling off. Somehow, cartoonishly, she hit the ground and came up all discombobulated and proceeds to get laughed at by the rest of the people at the wedding. She's like, oh, really? Are you showing this to your 11 followers on Instagram? Like, she gets real nasty and ultimately leaves. And so the bride comes in. Yeah, she's like, I'm taking this. She takes the top of the cake. What? I don't know. And so the bride shows up and she's all drunk and she's like, She-Hulk's at my wedding, woo! And Jen gets to have enjoy herself. Yeah. You do get a little button at the Mr. Immortal. They end up separating all this stuff. The guy's literally been around for like 100 years or whatever else, so he's got tons of money. And so they separate all this stuff out with the exes and things like that. And that whole situation's resolved somewhat lacklusterly and with zero legalese or court casing actually having to happen. I feel like this was a missed opportunity. Better writers would have done what... Okay, here's how I would have handled the episode. You ready?
Yes.
This is what here we go, Mr. Know-It-All's class for writing. You have the initial attempt at mediation where nobody is coming to any kind of middle ground. Mm-hmm. You then get them in court. While they're in court, you have this entire situation. You have woman after woman after woman coming up, extolling how horrible everything, this and that, and then you get him to do a somewhat really bad like testimonial for himself.
That's a little monologue.
Because here's what all those other shows used to do really well. Ally McBeal, The Practice, Boston Legal. Here's what they did very well. They made defending the guy who is a jerk or the person who's wrong, they made it their professional duty. So they would find something. And so what you need Mallory, who is utterly disgusted by this guy. Don't change anybody's motivations.
Oh, no.
Add the scene in, and while she's utterly disgusted by this guy, it dawns on her how to defend him. By the way, as a writer, I don't know, because I don't write legal dramas, just like Jessica Gao admitted she doesn't. However, I'd sure as heck be on the phone calling some lawyers, trying to find out some circumstances under which this might work, and then you ultimately get to that, you get to her being able to do an unbelievable closing where she really lays it all out, and before the judge can come to a decision, because of how Mallory lays it out, the exes all decide, you know what, we're gonna accept the blah blah blah, because somehow Mallory would make them understand and feel his pain. I'm immortal, this and that. What else would you, this and, I mean, you could do a rousing speech where she's literally like, the last line would be something along the line where she kind of looks over and you see the line of people and she's like, because if you lived forever, wouldn't you? Boom! And it's this big moment. I don't know what the rest of the speech was, but the point is, you hit it really good, and that would have been so satisfying. Instead, what you get is a bunch of women beating up this guy who, I'm not saying he's a good guy. Trust me, the guy's a dirtbag. And the way they've outlined him in the episode, I understand where everybody's coming from. I feel like there's a high ground, there's a better place to go. This feels like an unhealthy amount of feminism, and I love feminism. I am all about equality. This feels like we got to beat down this guy because he's a guy, and he's part of the patriarchy and the blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That's a thing.
No, I felt the same way. I kind of felt like they tried to keep it very lighthearted with the comic, part of it, but at the same time, it's like, it just kept like almost like beating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
It wasn't a shining moment.
No, it really wasn't. The episode ends somewhat lackluster with a brief button where you find out there's a guy who you get to see a lab, and there's some lab workers, and you see the bent needle thing from the guy who tried to stab She-Hulk in the shoulder in episode 2 or something. And then, but you see they have now a big daddy needle. This one's much stronger, clearly. And it's got holes in it for just absorbing her blood and the whole bit and all whatever. I don't know. My problem, so I would have been, okay, going back to where I started this whole discussion, I would have been okay with this entire episode except for the end. I've turned the corner. I'm accepting the show on its own merit. Yes, it has faults even there, but I'm accepting it on its own merit as not being my typical superhero show. My problem is you suddenly drop a superhero button. Now, mind you, that's very Marvel. Dropping an end scene or whatever else. Very Marvel.
We always look forward to those.
Right. But the point is, but you have an episode that is literally not even coming close to touching this topic. You've done a poor job so far laying everything out. And you know what? I'm gonna do something I don't normally do. I'm giving you my rating right this second. Know what all rating for me for this episode is a 4. Because frankly, as much as I love, the CGI was amazing.
I didn't need a hand counter.
No, not at all. So the minute She-Hulk walks out, they're in the sunlight. Okay, we watch Corridor Crew like everybody else. I know what goes into VFX and why they hide things in the shadows and darkness and stuff. I feel like this is the episode that when they were planning out the budget, they said, there's no hiding. There. Y'all put all the effort into this scene, into these scenes. Yeah. Because every moment that She-Hulk is in the sun, it's gorgeous.
Really good. I really liked the CGI on this. She looked really good.
Agreed.
No man hand counter. She looked good. I liked it.
Part we were like, oh, this is awesome. Again, I've accepted the show where it's at. Even if I feel like I could make a better legal drama, or legal comedy. But at the same time, or dramedy, I guess it should technically be. Yeah. Anyway, So my score is a 4. What is your score for the episode?
5.
She gave 1 better than me, and probably just to spite me. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just like, come on, man.
It probably, that end scene, I felt a little confused because the needle, we see the busted needle.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we see this lab person put this thing in there with this big daddy needle. Now, when he closes the case, you have the radiation symbol on there. Are they looking to inject her, or are they looking to extract?
I believe
because I couldn't tell in that stupid tube.
I think they're looking to extract.
Okay.
I could be wrong, because the radiation would tend to tell you there is a radioactive substance in this.
I guess after you collect the blood. Never mind. I answered my own question.
Her blood would be the radioactive substance.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me talk that through, guys.
No, fair enough. Right on. All right. So, do you have anything else you can think of for the episode? I think we've covered it because, frankly, I'm kind of like
there's a lot of women producers, executive producers, writers, even on this, and I think they're trying to go for a very strong female thing, and they are falling so short. It's almost chauvinistic.
Oh yeah, so this
I was not impressed with the way feminism and strong women are portrayed here because we're beating up.
I would have thought this was written by a man who didn't know how to write strong women, because
I was very disappointed.
The amount of just abuse Jen's taking. Though I'm sure right now there's probably a woman watching this going, no, that's because that's what we go through.
The insecurities
100%.
Of being at a wedding by yourself.
100%.
But then she was made to be humiliated by
the bridesmaids.
By the bridesmaids that were also there with her. Humiliated by the shirts.
Yeah.
Cleaning up after the initial dinner rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And she's walking down the aisle with Jonathan. A Chihuahua.
One of those weird like Chihuahuas that looks like they're sick and like shaky and has the tongue hanging out. It's the whole thing's bad.
And she's supposed to be this great friend to the bride, and she is literally the stepchild of Cinderella.
For real. No, for real. Yeah.
She's Cinderella's evil sister.
Anyway, I'm
just really disappointed. I wish it was better.
Now you know, if knowing is half the battle, hopefully you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. Would love to know your thoughts and comments below. Please let me know. Let us know what you thought of the episode. I don't want the comments to turn into a giant political discussion. No. Please don't do that. Or if you're going to do it, guys, make sure everybody's respectful. You know how I am when it comes to that. I want to make sure that we keep everyone allowing to have their own thoughts and their own opinions. I'm all about it. If you hated the episode, that's cool. If you liked the episode, that's cool. All this stuff is very subjective, so understand that your mileage is always going to vary when it comes to mine. At the end of the day, I'm a storyteller first, so that's one of the reasons why I'm able to kind of step out of my body and say, okay, I'm going to accept this show. It's not going to be Monster of the Week, and it's not going to be Fight of the Week. Yeah. It's going to be a different kind of show, and I'm okay with that. But now I get to judge you on the merit of the show that you tell me you're trying to be. And currently, She-Hulk, you're falling short. All right? Talk to you next week. Never forget.
Everyone loves to know it all.
That's right. See you guys later.
Bye.